In 1997, a 9-year-old boy vanished from his family's farmhouse without a trace. No signs of struggle, no footprints, nothing. Except for one strange detail. The furnace in the basement started to hum. 28 years later, his sister returns, and behind a sealed wall, she finds a voice calling her name from the dark. What she uncovers changes everything they believed about that night. The farmhouse sat at the edge of a forest in upstate New York, isolated, surrounded by frost-covered fields. Winter had come early that year, the wind slicing through the gaps in the old wooden boards, making the house groan like it was alive. Inside, 9-year-old Jacob Kessler was finishing his homework in the corner of the living room, the dim light of a single lamp casting long shadows across the floor. No one could have known it would be the last time anyone saw him. There were no signs of struggle. The doors were locked, windows intact. Not a footprint in the snow outside. Yet something had shifted in the house, something unseen. The basement furnace, old and clunky, had begun to hum. A low, unnatural vibration that grew louder in the quiet, like it had a heartbeat. Jacob's mother, Margot, had paused in the kitchen, hands frozen around the mug of coffee she had been warming on the stove. She told herself it was the wind, that the old pipes were acting up again. She had no idea how wrong she was. When she returned to check on Jacob, he was gone. Emily Kessler hadn't stepped foot in the old farmhouse for nearly 3 decades. Life had pulled her into the city, into deadlines, traffic, and the hum of fluorescent lights. Yet the letter that arrived on a dreary Thursday morning pulled her back faster than any memory ever could. No return address. The envelope was yellowed, paper brittle, edges frayed. Inside, a single sheet read, in a hand Emily couldn't forget. He's still there behind the furnace. Her heart skipped. The apartment around her disappeared. Its beige walls, the buzzing fridge, even the distant sirens. Only the words remained, echoing louder with each heartbeat. Emily knew she had no choice. "I'm coming home," she whispered. The highway stretched like a ribbon through the frozen forests. Frost glazed the windshield, requiring constant scraping, the wipers scraping ice in a rhythmic, hypnotic sound. Each mile north stripped away the life she had built in the city. Memories surged. Jacob humming a made-up song in the back seat, counting fence posts they had named, laughing at cows grazing lazily in the fields. And then, the silence that had followed his disappearance. The farmhouse emerged over the hill like a memory wrapped in mist. Cold, hollow windows stared like eyes from a skull, the wind howling through cracks in the siding. Emily's hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles whitened. The front door opened before she could knock. Margot Kessler stood in the frame, frail, her gray-streaked hair framing a face lined with years of fear and guilt. "Come in," her mother whispered. "I kept the heat on, just in case." Inside, the house smelled of cedar, stale coffee, and something metallic, a faint reminder of the old furnace. The grandfather clock in the hallway had stopped at 11:42, frozen like the years themselves. Jacob's school photo still hung on the wall, gap-toothed grin and freckles intact. "He'd be 37 now," Margot said softly. Emily's throat tightened. Words failed her. The kitchen table, where sugar cube towers had once stood, now held only a cup of tea. Emily slid the letter across the table. "I memorized it before I burned mine," Margot whispered. The silence between them screamed louder than any conversation could. Night had settled, cold and sharp, when Emily descended the stairs to the basement. Her flashlight trembled in her hand. Shadows pooled like spilled ink across the steps, stretching and contorting in the dim light. The furnace room door stood at the far corner, still chained and warped. A fingerprint, small and fresh, marred the dust above the latch. Her breath caught. "Jacob?" she whispered. The word fell into darkness and didn't return. She had been warned, but fear no longer restrained her. The story of a haunted furnace, whispered shadows, and the boy who vanished years ago, all converged in this one moment. And the house answered. Morning brought snow, drifting silently onto the porch. At 9:13, a sharp knock rattled the door. Emily opened it to find Walt Henderson, her childhood neighbor, bundled against the cold. "I helped board up the house after everything," he said. His eyes were kind yet wary. Emily nodded. "Someone sent a letter." Walt's expression stiffened. The room felt smaller, colder. He looked toward the basement door, then back at Emily. "I was afraid this day would come," he murmured. Emily followed Walt to the basement. He unlocked the rusted latch, revealing the furnace room. But it wasn't a furnace at all. It was a hidden corridor, carved deep into the foundation, a passage that should not exist. The air smelled of mold, metal, and something older, unplaceable. Walls that shouldn't be there stretched into darkness, whispering secrets. Footsteps echoed. Not hers, not Walt's. Something moved in the shadows. And then a voice. "Emily." Her blood ran cold. The voice was her brother's, but distorted, aged by decades of isolation. The tunnel ended in a room, sparsely furnished, but with signs of habitation. A makeshift bed, worn toys, and Jacob alive but not fully free. Time had changed him. He was wary, mistrustful, but alive. Emily approached cautiously. "Jacob, it's me, your sister." His eyes widened. Recognition, fear, hope, tangled into one. You found me," he whispered, trembling. Behind him, the walls of the room seemed to pulse, breathing like the furnace had all those years ago. Something unseen, something patient had held him here, watching, waiting. Walt stepped forward. "It's not safe. Whatever did this, it's still here." The walls groaned, the air vibrating. A low hum filled the corridor. Emily felt her chest tighten as if the house itself was alive, testing her. "Mom," she called. "It's him. It's Jacob." Her mother appeared at the stairwell, terror in her eyes. "Don't," she started. "It's not what you think." But Emily ignored her. Courage and desperation surged. "We can't leave him," Jacob whispered fragments. They said I couldn't leave. The furnace, it watches." Pieces fell into place. The furnace had been more than a machine. Something supernatural, or perhaps human ingenuity twisted into horror, had kept him hidden, training, observing, manipulating. The house itself had become a prison, a predator, and the family had been blind to it for decades. Emily, Jacob, and Walt fled, navigating the hidden corridors, careful with every step. The walls groaned, dust fell, but the path was clear. They emerged into the snow-covered fields, lungs burning, hearts pounding, free at last. Behind them, the farmhouse seemed to sigh, a dark, unfulfilled promise lingering in its shadows. Jacob reunited with his family. Therapy, police investigations, and news coverage followed. But the farmhouse, the furnace, the hidden corridors, all remained, quietly waiting. Now, viewers, what would you have done in Emily's place? Would you have gone into the basement, faced the unknown? Comment below. Do you think Margot made the right choices in her past? Could she have saved Jacob sooner? Share your thoughts. Hit like, share, subscribe, and tap that bell icon. Some stories aren't just entertainment, they're warnings.